been a while, so it's probably time for an update. The MG's dead. Again. If you've been following any of the stuff that I do across YouTube or Classic Car Weekly, you'll know that back in March 2024, I accidentally drove the car through a slightly too deep river and hydrolocked the engine. Turns out I didn't completely hydrolock it. Actually, all I did was blow a little bit of head gasket. So I pulled that engine out and without really checking it, just sort of didn't bother to think it was going to be repairable, bought a replacement engine for £350, pretty much unseen, off of Facebook Marketplace. And, well, given the fact the car's broken again, you can tell how well that went. That engine is, in fact, that engine, which is now sat behind me on a workbench, completely disassembled, and for very good reason, because this tiny bit of metal here decided to stop doing its job. This is one of the bearings that connects the conrod to the crankshaft, and it spun. It starved itself of oil, spun, and then turns itself into millions of tiny little metal pieces that floated around the crankshaft, making lots of horrendous noise on the way down to Goodwood in September last year. So I think we did about 580 miles before that engine died. So best part of 750 quid to go 580 miles. Mathematically, we are not making a great deal of sense so far. But anyway, bearing, dead. So that engine, also pretty much dead. However, I did start tearing apart the waterlogged engine, and what I found was actually not too bad. Like I said, it just blew out a tiny bit of head gasket between cylinders 3 and 4. So that has been completely stripped down, and yesterday I took it in a van up to Elstow to a company whose name I'll simply just put on the screen because I can't remember their name off the top of my head. And it is being, the crankshaft and flywheel are being balanced up, we're getting all the journals checked, getting all the bores swept through so they're all good, and the heads skimmed, so everything lines up nicely. So in theory, by the end of January, that engine will be ready to go back together and go back in the car with the intention of having it running for Drive It Day. It's a big ask. It's about 100 days, just shy of probably at the time this goes out, to get it back and running again. But thankfully a lot of the remedial work that I did sort of around the engine bay and crucially to the clutch release arm, which is now attached to the bell housing, has all sort of stayed in place. It does, however, mean we have a very big list. A list that is damn near as big as I am. So this is all the bits we've got to do to rebuild the engine, which I've come to know as River. That was the original engine in the car. These are all the bits that I did when I stripped down to figure out what went wrong with India, because it came from India Queens. As we work our way down, there is then general bits and pieces to do to the car, including the front valance under there, which got sort of mangled when we snapped a towing eye off a chassis rail, recovering the car when it broke down in March last year. So that's on the list, as well as sorting out the trunnion, maybe going over the exhaust, sorting out the handbrake, which still isn't great. What else have we got on here? Both headlights working, question mark. Not really. This one still goes on and off and on and off sometimes. Paint wheels. It'd be nice to get the wheels sorted. That was supposed to be my winter project, was going to be overhauling the front suspension and repainting the wheels. But yeah, that plan went awry somewhere in early September last year. And then we get to this section on the list. Obviously, the precursor to anything I used to do with cars was always the Jimny diaries, and as you can see, there is now a section for the Jimny on the big piece of cardboard, which is because it's also now broken. It definitely needs a front end overhaul, that's what most of this is for, but it also recently blew its heater matrix. So it gets very steamy and dumped pretty much all of its coolant into the driver's footwell on the way back from the office earlier this week. So surprised it didn't overheat and kill itself as well. But anyway, there we go. That's the update of what's going on in my workshop at the moment. And yeah, it's progressing in the right direction. Will we have it done for Drive It Day? Maybe. End goal really is to try and have it done for my sister's wedding, which is in July. So we've got a bit more time for that. But we'll see. Still a lot to do. Namely the fact that this space is not filled with an engine. That's the big hurdle. Still, we'll see. I'll try and keep you updated by making more regular videos, because I haven't been very good at that lately, so I'm sorry.